A few weeks ago I bought a Craig benchtop router table that's actually too tall to use it on any of my benches. So being I have a small shop, I want to build a little folding table for that router table to sit on while I'm using it. So what I've done is I've laid some paper out on my work table here, and I've kind of got an outline of what I want. At least I know where the centers are to drill my holes in. So basically it's going to be a scissor table, just like that. This should be a fairly easy build, and let's get going on it. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Deerdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Let's build us a table. I don't know if you guys know or not, but I'm not, but tell by my voice, I've been sick for about a week now or something like that. Wound up having to go to the doctor and found out that I had RSV. Wasn't horrible, mostly some really bad headaches for a few days and a lot of fatigue. At any rate, today is really the first day I feel like doing anything, and we're going to build this table. So if I'm lacking a little motivation or sound like I am, you know exactly why that might be. Let's get going. Let me show you what we got here, then we'll get going. So this is representing one 2x4 and this is representing the other for the X pattern. This is the center where I'll be drilling the hole, and I'll be using a 1/2-inch bolt there. And that up there is also representing a hole, or this side, whatever side I decide to put it on, it doesn't really matter. And that's how it's going to kind of pivot and fold up. This is representing a 2x4 that will be underneath the table. It's going to be a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. I have a piece stashed right back there. I got to drag it out and cut me a hunk out of it. It's going to be 33 by 26. Which is going to be a little bit larger than the router table, 4 inches wider, and I don't know, 5 or 6 inches deeper, just to give me a little area at the front of the table to be able to set tools and router bits and stuff like that. So what I want to do first is start getting these 2x4s cut out. So I've got a general length, I've got all my angles, which is nice. We'll get into that in a little bit. That's going to help me lay it out. I'll use my sliding T-Bevel. You'll see. Let's get going. We'll get some 2x4s cut. So this is a square 90-degree corner, and since I'm centered, then these should actually just be 45-degree angles. So I've got my T-Bevel out. I've double checked it. I've got my Sawset Pro, and it's a definite tight 90 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come on here like this. I've marked the center of my 2x4, so we'll just come down to that point in the center and mark this off. I've cut these 2x4s a little bit long, so I shouldn't have anything to worry about as far as that's concerned, getting these all cut the way that I want them cut. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get these marked out, get them cut, and then we'll get the length. Go ahead, and I'm just going to go ahead and get all 4 of these cut and ready to go to the length that we need. Then we'll transfer over holes and get stuff drilled and so on and so forth. But right now, I'm just going to cut a 45 here and a 45 here on all of my boards to the proper length, which is nice. I have my layout right here, so I just measure it and away we go and get them done. Alright guys, I misread that one. I should have known. These are not both 45 degrees. These are different angles. So what we want to do now is get out our T-Bevel like I should have done in the first place instead of trying to just fly through stuff. Set it out where it's laid up on the marks. Now I'm going to come over here to my Sawset Pro. I'll put a link in the description for the Sawset Pro, and it has a single miter side and a double miter side, and it's to be used in conjunction with your T-Bevel. We're going to come right up with this little thing right into that corner, and then we can read our saw setting right there, which is 52 degrees. So I'm going to set the miter saw at 52 degrees and recut this angle right here. and then we'll get the other one squared away as well. We might need to remove a little extra material or do this one first because it needs to come down some more. I think that's what we'll do. We'll figure out this one first and get it cut. At any rate, the T-Bevel and the Sawset Pro is how I'm going to have to mark these out. So, no big deal. I like how that looks. .37 degrees. So we'll get this one cut at 37 first, and then we'll get this one cut. I have these two cut and I'm ready to start cutting these two. I almost made a mistake down there because I want this to butt up against a 2x4 that'll be on the end of the tabletop to stop it from opening any further. And I did not get that on my drawing, but luckily as I was laying out I remembered. It wouldn't have been a big problem. I wouldn't have had to throw these away and start over, but at least I didn't have to cut them twice. So the angles down here wound up being 52 degrees and 37. My saw barely goes to 52, and then the angles up here I'm not exactly sure. I didn't write down what they were, so I don't remember what those two were, but we've got it all figured out thanks to the T-Bevel and the Sawset Pro giving me the angles I need. So now I'm going to go ahead and get these two cut out, and then I've got my centers marked on these to drill them, and then I'll get the same thing going on over here, get the centers marked out and get them marked out for the pivot on the top, and then we'll be ready to start assembling some legs. I have all my leg pieces cut and the 30-inch pieces that are going to screw to the bottom side of the plywood, and I've got everything marked for its holes. So I want to go ahead and get these center punched and get the holes drilled. I'm going to be using 1/2-inch bolts to secure everything into place and for the pivots. So once I get them these holes drilled, I'll be able to go ahead and get these put together and get them attached to here. Even though I may have to break them down again, I want to be able to see if I'm going to have to do anything like curve this side out or anything like that to get the clearance for it to open and close the way that I want it to. So let's get these punched out and then we'll get over to the drill press. Alright, I got the first one set up in here. Not sure what speed we're running. We're running a little slow, so I think we're good though. Got a little clogged up with chips. Alright, I'm going to get the rest of them drilled after I make sure my bolt's going to go through that hole. If it doesn't, then I'll just switch over to a twist drill bit instead of a Forstner bit. Now that I have these pinned together, I can see exactly where I have too much material sticking out. So it's no big deal. I'm just going to trim that away. And it doesn't even need to be rounded or anything else. I'm just going to trim it off and so that nothing's protruding when it's all folded up. It'll be somewhat similar to this when it's all closed up. And then just to make sure that nothing else hits. And now that this is all marked out and drilled, I don't need to concern myself with that. I did screw up and mismark this because I lost an inch on the measurement down here, and I forgot to take care of that here, so it's no big deal. Made it a little bit lighter. At any rate, I am going to go ahead and get these cut off, and then I'm going to get that plywood out and get it cut to size and start putting this thing together. I've got my top cut out, and I've got some 2.5 inch screws here. I've got one of these braces clamped into place, so we are just going to go ahead and run a couple of screws into it. Make sure that we're not gonna block off our hole or run the screw into our bolt hole. I'm going to get one more down here, then we'll get the other side on, the same thing, 2 screws, and then we'll pop it together and see how it's going to work. Yeah, I might put one in the middle. Why not? Bad that around. Same thing. I've got a couple of screws holding these on now, and I want to go ahead and get the legs on. I can already see there's something I didn't compensate for here, but it's no big deal. I'm going to put 2 washers in between them, and then we'll go ahead and get this slid on. Give her a little lift up here. I'm pretty sure we should be clear of everything, but I might trim a little more off. And so it looks like I do need to clear some more off of here. So I'll go ahead and get these trimmed up. I'm just going to trim them up and relieve them where they'll open and close like they're supposed to. And then we'll be good to go there. But what I didn't think about was the head of this bolt being able to clear past. So once I get these bolted on, I'll just stick my pencil through the hole on the inside, mark it, and then I'll pop these back off and use a chisel or something and clean a path out right there for that bolt head to fit through. I'll show you when we get there in a few minutes. Let me go ahead and get these trimmed off a little differently. Okay, I've got both of these on here. This one, this 2x4 is, I don't know, 3/16 bigger than this 2x4, so I had to elongate these two holes a little bit to get this one to lay flat. It's not going to hurt in any way, shape, or form. So when the two pieces bolt together here to create the scissor, this is what I was talking about. So I could either drill this out deeper so that the head recesses into the 2x4, or I can cut a notch right here. I think now that I've lost the ability to center, it's not that's not going to be quite as easy to drill a bigger hole to get that in there. You know, a paddle bit or something like that's just going to dance around. So I think my best option at this point in time is to go ahead and take these back off and just notch them out right there a little bit for the bolt head to clear. And it doesn't have to go all the way down, so I'm just going to stick my pencil in there. I'm going to mark it and then just lift it up, and it'll pull it through the swing that it's going to take. And I'll do the same thing over here. Stick my pencil in, mark the bottom, hold it in the center, pull it up, and mark the swing. So there we go. I'll just have to notch it out for that to go in to the center there. No big deal. I'm going to get these pulled back off real quick, notched out, and back in place. But I'm pretty happy with what we've got. I think I'm okay for clearances. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that I am. So we'll get these marked out and then we'll be in business. I've got this side all put together. I wound up having to notch it out right here too, and actually turn this bolt around, but kind of sort of how it's going to be, about right in this neighborhood here. So I still need to get my support on for this side down here, but I'll do that once I get the other side all together as well. So hopefully I'll fold it up. I'll be able to keep it at, you know, this almost 4 inches, which would be good for getting it against the wall and getting it out of my way. I'm really happy with what's going on so far. Couple little glitches here and there, but no big deal. For not working off of a plan, I think it's going really good. So I'm going to get that side finished up, and then we'll come back when we're ready to get the 2x4 between these two. I'll be putting a 2x4 between these two legs, and then a 2x4 on the tabletop for that to sit up against to stop it from obviously collapsing down to the floor. So we'll get that side done. Now that I've got everything all tightened up and together, I need to put a 2x4 in between this leg right here and this one over here. And these will be the ones that are going to sit on the top of the table, and there will be a 2x4 going into here to stop them. But I need to make sure I have a channel for these to lay down into to close it up all the way. So hence is why I'm going to put this in between them. I may put another one in this area or something once I get it all together, just for some additional strength. But for right now, what I need to do is get this one in. So we've got a couple of screws here, and 2.5 inches should be plenty. It's going to be a little cumbersome, but we're going to get it one way or another. Alright, we should have it now. Screws poking out a little bit. Oh, I didn't want to have that happen. I have to glue that. Should have drilled a pilot hole. Maybe that's what I'm going to do right here, is drill a pilot hole so that that doesn't happen to me again. That wasn't good at all. I don't know if you saw it, but I split it. So I'm going to drill a pilot hole in the other one. Now that I have this screwed into place, I need to get a piece in here, and that's for this to butt up against when the table is open. So I cut this to just fit in here nice and loose so that the legs will lay between it. I'm going to go ahead and get that screwed into place again with some 2.5 inch screws. I'm going to throw a little clamp on there. I'll probably do the same thing on the other end just to help stiffen everything up a little bit. It can't hurt, so I believe that's what I'll do down there too. Okay, with that, this thing's ready to stand up on its own. Okay, I've got it down here on the floor. It's not too awful heavy. It's lighter than I thought it might be, but it's fairly substantial, I'm guessing. So that's going to sit right in there like that, and then that's going to lock it into place, and away we go. All right. Now, sturdy. How sturdy is it? I bought some folding table leg hinge things, I guess, that I was thinking about using, but I wasn't happy with them, so I just decided to do it this way instead. I think that once this gets some weight on it, it'll be just fine. I know that my floor is not perfect. It does have a little wobble. I'll move it around in some different spots on the floor and see if it still does. If it does, then, I mean, when I put some weight on it, it's good. There's no more wobble. So it could also be this plywood has a little twist to it. I know that it does, so that could be part of the problem also. But at any rate, there we go. I like that. So now with the 16 inches, let's set the router table on there and have a look. I don't mind that height at all. Let's move the camera so you can see. So this table is 37 inches, so this gets me up a little bit higher, and I don't know, I just kind of thought this would be a good comfortable height, and I do, I like it. So I'm glad I went with what I did. This table should be roughly 25 inches tall plus the 3/4. Let's see what we wound up with in dimensions. So 25.5, which is good. So this is going to be a perfect working height, I think, for this router. And then who knows what I might drag over here and throw on top of it as well. I don't mind my planer being up that high, but this I definitely did. So I'm happy with what I've got right here as far as height goes, and I'm pretty sure I'll be just fine with everything else once it sets in. I'll have a look at the leg. If there's a way that I can brace anything more, I will, as far as putting boards between the legs. The outer legs I really can't, but the inner legs I can if I need to help stop any movement I don't like. But really and truly, I'm pretty happy with that. That's all we got for this time. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those two videos. It's going to pop up below me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider doing so. And remember to always respect the power of your power tools. We'll see you soon.